Hey y'all, welcome back to Video with Hey, it's Anna. So, you know my kids are homeschooled, okay? I don't know how to explain the fact that they have changed the way that the kids are learning, okay? Everybody knows, even in the South, in the United States in the South, some people across seas may even know these stories, but I'm not pinpointing just a certain area, geographic area, or whatever. So, I'm pretty sure everybody knows the Three Little Pigs story. Okay, those three little pigs. One had a house made of straw. One had a house made of sticks. One had a house made of bricks. A wolf saw them, and little pig, let me in. He said, "Not by the hair, by chin, chin, chin. Well, I'm a huff, I'm a puff, I'm gonna blow your house down. There goes the straw house." Little pig, let me in. After the first little pig runs to the second pig, little pig, let me in. Not by the hair of our little chinny chin chins, as I scratch mine. And he says, "I'm a huff, I'm a puff, I'm gonna blow your house down." And so with a big huff and a big puff, he blows the house of sticks down. So the two pigs run to the third pig's house, whose house was made of bricks. Little pigs, let me in. They all three said, "Not by the hair of our little chinny chin chins. Well, I'm a huff and I'm a puff and I'm gonna blow your house down." Well, he huffed and he puffed and he tried to blow it down, but he couldn't. So then he kept trying. He was out of breath and couldn't do it. Right? Okay, whatever. Everybody has their own different versions. But never have I ever seen this version. And let me tell you why. Because this is my oldest daughter's learning curriculum. And whoever made it and recreated the video or the story, slap you in the back of the head, because this is not how the story goes. Okay? Make it more kid friendly. I get it, but whatever. So if y'all want to pause the video to read it, if I go too fast, then let me know. I can remake the video. But as I'm doing this, pause the video so you can read the story if you're not reading as fast as I do the video. So here we go. For the little pig story, here we go. The layout of her computer, you have to go to either the resources or go through the lesson and print out the stories. But we don't do that because it's a waste of printer ink. So we just read the story in the lesson, or I go to the resources and pull it up on the screen. So there's the Three Little Pigs. Scroll down to page 1, and it says three little pigs are ready to move out of their family home in the country. Each pig wants his own house because they are all so different. Then there's that one. The first pig has no building skills. He would rather play video games. First and foremost, there's nothing video games in the original story. They say, so he quickly builds a house out of straw without paying much attention. Meh. That's not how this goes. Second pig has no building skills either, so he texts his friend the beaver. That's another red flag. There was no beaver mentioned or texting in the original story. They said, so he tells the pig to build his house out of sticks. None of that ever occurred in the original story. Turns out fine, but he could have put in more effort. The third pig also has no building skills, so he decides to search for instructions and an example on the internet. He watches a video on building homes and makes a strong house out of brick. When I was growing up, none of this ever occurred. Nothing. And never involved any cell phones. Mind you, I'll be 29 on the 23rd. So, May 23rd, I'll be 29. There's no such thing as cell phones this was first read to me as the version I grew up with, okay? One afternoon, the big bad wolf sees the pigs and licks his lips. He goes to the first pig's house and asks if he can come for dinner. They whine, "Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin." The wolf leans against a straw wall, which has enough to make the house fall down. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to decide if I want to keep reading or not. The first pig runs in the second pig's house, locks the door. The second pig shrieks. This is what gets me. "No salespeople, please." In what aspect of the story, in the original story, did he say no salespeople? Because that's not how the story was written. Not right there. Hold on. Sorry, my daughter's trying to put up some markers. The wolf takes a deep breath and blows his house down. Page 5. The first two pigs run for shelter in the third pig's house. When the wolf knocks on the door for dinner, the third pig asks, "Did you bring anything to eat?" They said, "Oh yes," the wolf said sweetly. The third pig pretends not to hear the wolf through the brick and the wall between them. Sorry, I'm getting sleepy. He yells to the wolf to come down the chimney because there's an important surprise at the bottom. The big bad wolf climbs down the chimney, licks his lips, and as he goes. When he reaches the bottom, he lands in a big pot of steaming water in the fireplace. "Yow!" screams the wolf. The pig lost to the wolf, runs out the door, and never to bother them again. Y'all, this story is complete whack, okay? And that's nothing. I'm going to pause the video so y'all can catch up on to read this. But this story has me crazily laughing because I can't. Whoever created this version of this story, you have lost your ever-living mind. I don't know what to tell y'all on this, but it's not how it goes. Okay. So there's the cutout. That's what it looks like. Like I said, if you want to pause it and read it, you can. Whatever else, but that's the story. And that's what it looks like. So,
read it.
You can't read it through my screen, but they can zoom in and read it or whatever. So, but anyway, there's the story. I'm going to pause it and get ready for the second story. Amidst my squeaking chair, here is the second story, the wolf story. It's the wolf's version. There's the instructions. There's the title page. Says the wolf story, written by blah, 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 blah. Okay. I've always been an independent wolf. I moved to the countryside, so I think it would be nice to make some friends. There are 3 little pigs in my neighborhood, and they look very friendly. Page 2. Yesterday I worked very hard to make a vegetarian casserole. It has soft moss, carrots, mushrooms, and grass. Delicious. I decided to bring it over to the little pigs for dinner to introduce myself. There was never a version of this. This is so crazy. Page 3. Holding my casserole dish in one hand, I knocked on the door. When the first little pig told me I couldn't come in, I nearly tripped and used the wall to catch myself. I didn't mean to knock his house down. I'm just a bit clumsy. At least my delicious casserole was safe. Next, I went to the stick house and asked to come in for dinner. I heard the second pig shriek, "No salespeople, please." He must be confused. I let out a big sigh and with a huff and a puff and accidentally blew his house down. Making friends is really hard. Page 5. The brick house was my last chance to bring dinner for the 3 little pigs. When I told them that I brought something, they must have not heard me. I was getting so hungry by then that I started to drool and climb the chimney. To my surprise, I landed in the hot pot of soup. It was so hot that I ran out the door. I don't know what those silly pigs were thinking when they told me to go down the chimney. I was much too embarrassed to find out, though. Maybe I'm not meant to have any friends. So, with this being said, like I said, y'all can pause this whole lengthy video and read this, but these 2 stories are nothing compared. They're way off and nothing compared to what I grew up with the original version. But there was never a wolf story, first and foremost. He was never portrayed as the good guy. He's always been the bad guy. So what made the wolf go soft? I don't know. I'm starting to think it's this woke, was it culture now? Woke generation, whatever.
I think it's culture.
I don't know, but this is beyond me. And having to take assignments and compare these stories and write them down so my daughter can learn this version was hard for us to wrap our minds around it because we had to understand each other's feelings and stuff. And I get that. But I can't teach my child something that is not the moral of the story. Like, it's not how we grew up. You have to teach your kids the right way, the real way. You can't teach them new stuff like this. This messes with them. It's like, for instance, like in Lion King, or and I'm gonna knock all these new movies like Lion King, Aladdin, and what's the other ones? Moana's not one of them.
Encanto.
No, Encanto's not it. But those are new versions of new movies. Those are different cultures. Lion King, Little Mermaid, all the generational movies from my area and my husband's area and stuff like that, they changed the way that the movie was meant to be portrayed. Same thing with these stories. They were changed in the way they were meant to be portrayed. Why? Your kids can't learn from a soft version because that, no offense, but it will make them weenies. And if y'all hate me and I lose subscribers over that, I'm sorry. That's how I feel. I want my kids to know that you have to have backbone in the world you're growing up in today, because if you don't, you're never going to survive. My other daughter, her excuse for almost everything now is I'm scared. You can't be scared of everything that you do in your life, because if you do, you're never going to amount to knowing what the real world's going to throw at you. Quit showing people your M&Ms. You're only making a fat person want more, like me. Quit. You're only rubbing the chocolate in my face. Y'all see this? Y'all see what we're going to do with? Long story short, this video's coming to an end. I'm going to post this video. I can't, for the life of me, teach your kids the right way with a backbone. Not the soft version stuff. I'll see y'all in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. And I hope y'all keep watching my content. Until the next video, peace.